everybody, welcome back to Universe X, and today I am going to do probably the last Gencon related video I think that's going to be on this channel for this particular pass around. A lot of people were asking for my Gohan how-to, and so I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna put this bad boy out there. I do have to ask, if you like the content, hit that subscribe button. We are growing fast and there's gonna be a lot more to give away to the community. We already do once per base set, we give that away, but as we can kind of generate some more revenue on this channel, we'll be able to do bigger and better giveaways to give back to the community that helped build this channel. That being said, I want to hit the normal plugs. Just try visiting the Facebook group for the community, or the official Facebook group for that matter. They're both excellent sources of both spoilers, just content, just like-minded people who love the same game you do. That's just pretty cool. The other things that are a little more personal, I wanted to plug TCGMetalZ. They make the coolest metal cards, including things like my metal Gohan leader, which definitely just felt clean and swaggy throughout the entire Gencon event, or things like my old metal Xeno Harambe, which always did well for me, and it of course is being given away for my channel hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark. Just got to think of the right giveaway for that to happen in. So past that, you guys already know what deck I played. You guys already know what was going on. It was Universe 7 Gohan, and I am so proud to have been able to spoil the leader and then take it to its first premiere event top. Just overjoyed with that. And now, because a lot of people want to know how to play it, I'm gonna actually go into it. Just like I had Get 'em or Seti on here doing Gogeta's. I think I'm gonna try to do this when I can get a player that has gone in and out with the deck and can really give us something to look into if you need a baseline mentality for playing the deck. So let's move the view and we'll get right into it. All right, so we are here. I suppose we'll do this just like we did the other one, and kind of get that format kind of going. So as an introduction, the reason why I chose this leader is honestly, it's nothing flashy. Like Gohan's my favorite character. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. It didn't matter kind of what color he was. I already decided once I saw what we saw him in the preview, that if he was even a 7 out of 10, I was going to play him. And then when Bandai reached out and asked if I wanted to spoil it, I was hyped because it was red. There's a lot of, at the time, red was already in a very good position. And so I was just very excited to be able to play Gohan. That's actually pretty much that. I decided that I was going to make it work unless the deck was unplayable. And even if I got scraped up, I would at least do it playing my favorite character before switching to a deck that's better and trying to, do anything with that. Yeah, I don't know. There wasn't anything super prolific about that one. Most of these cards can be played in Starter Vegeta and could be a little more consistent, a little less tight. So it's a kind of a short introduction, but I'm gonna let you know, like, it's not like I just looked at Gohan and was like, oh, this guy's broken. I just saw that it was playable enough and thought that with enough practice, I might be able to squeak out something pretty clean. That being said, I think he's got a lot of gas. I just, with the way the format's shaping up, I think I'm gonna have to check these to kind of see if this is gonna be the way for me moving forward, because I kind of want to do well at Nats, and if I can make a splash with Gohan, I will, but there's going to be a lot of testing to see if he's even still on the table. So that is kind of it for the introduction. So the next reference deck list, I'm going to cop out again. If you haven't seen the actual deck list for it, I'll put the link in the description, but I went into the deck list right after I topped Gencon. So yeah, you can go down to the description and check that one out. So also, just before we move completely on to the format placement, I wasn't gonna lay it out because I've already been testing and making changes, and I didn't think to put them all back the way they were before this video started. So, moving on to format placement. Right now, going to this tournament, I was a little bit blindsided by Hiru, like Icarus Dragon. I know that Kid Icarus is a very strong deck. I just did not know how strong, and that was my bad. But when it comes to Cell Surge, aggro is generally favored, and so I felt like going against Cell Surge, there was a potential for me to blow out, some games. Like I did win game 1 against Joey off of like a fluid top deck stream because this deck is able to cantrip a lot. However, Cell Surge can still do its dangerous Cell Surge things, and as aggro, you always run the risk of not finishing your opponent off soon enough, and for them to stabilize. And Cell Surge is able to stabilize on me game 2 and 3. But in terms of blue decks, I feel like when it comes to control or tempo, the decks in those categories, they get stronger as the format goes because they know more and more how to build their decks to foil the format. So I think blue may have not been at full strength this tournament, but the way that blue was this tournament, I was able to dig into it viciously. 3 of my games are Soul Striker. I had a SS4 game, and those were able to be hurt badly. No, I think it's two Soul Strikers and 1 SS4. It's one of those. But those games were all 2-0s because the way blue is currently constructed, or at least was at Gencon, it wasn't really able to contest with what I was able to do in this deck. The interactions mainly come off of Divine Presence, and we'll get into that later. And so that was actually kind of that. When it comes to the how-to, there's a lot of cards that really come into play. First, we gotta look at the leader. So the leader doesn't draw on his own when he swings or anything. He comes from comboing. So he turns any U7 into a cantrip. You discard it in combo, you draw, and that happens once per turn. This is going to allow you to filter through a lot of your deck. You can see one card on each turn by dropping a card, and there are other cards in the deck that allow you to see more than that. So that's tight. We're gonna put the leader to the side. Arguably one of the most important cards here is actually going to be Ultimate Gohan. Yeah, Son Gohan Ultimate Essence. This guy searches top 5 for a U7 with 4 or less cost, or a Unison with specified 2. He's also has a limit 1 effect that when he's on the board and you combo with the vanilla, you're going to draw an extra card. So you combo with the vanilla while the 1 drops on board, you'll draw 1 from your leader and 1 from this Gohan, making that combo a +1, but more importantly, you saw 2 additional cards. This is where the acceleration of the deck really picks up. I do run 7 vanillas. These are your bullets. If you consider, like, literally this deck to be a gun, these are definitely your bullets. You go second and you play your 1 drop, you search for your best card or your top 5, and then you swing and you combo this and you draw 2 cards. You open up to 6, right? For the turn, you charged 1. After charging 1, you played Gohan, so you're down to 4 cards, but Gohan's going to search you a card. So you're at 5 again. You swing, you combo the skill list, you draw 1, you draw 2. You just went on turn 2, right? Well, you just went second turn, you played your 1 drop, you swung, you comboed the vanilla. You are still at 6 cards, the same amount of cards you start off with that turn, and the only difference is that you saw an additional 3. You played Gohan, you searched top 5 for a card, then you dropped a normal and you drew 2 cards. So you just went through 3 extra cards and you ended up with the same hand size. That's pretty much that. It's pretty strong. The next card that really comes into play is the challengers. They say that when the only other card in your combo area is a red, like, skill list, you're going to be able to combo with this and draw a card. And this is actually pretty cool. So it's only 1 extra card. It's like an upstart, the combo play where you swing and you combo a vanilla and then you combo a challenger. You're going to be drawing 1, drawing 2, then you're going to be drawing 3. So you're going to be discarding 2, drawing 3. Essentially, you have a backwards graceful charity, and for any of you Yu-Gi-Oh players. But the thing is, you still saw again you saw 3 additional cards off the top of your deck with this play. The most important thing about this play is that, once again, you didn't lose cards in hand. In fact, this is a +1 interaction. If it wasn't, this would be a break-even interaction comboing these two, but with the Gohan on the field, it's a +1 interaction. The important part about this is that your boss card, Divine Presence, has to have 2 or more red cards in your combo area for him to be able to be played for 2. Now, this guy can only come down when you have 3 or more energy, so he's not stupid broken, but when he comes down, it's crazy because normally you would think that, wow, that's a minus, I have to combo 2, but that's exactly what the Gohan's supposed to do. You play Piccolo and you're at a -1, but he combos and you draw 1, you draw 2, so you're at a +1. You drop the challenger to draw another card, you know, you're still at a +1. Then you tap 2 energy and you play Divine Presence. He can come into play and give any red card 5k. Like Nick said in the other video, you should watch it if you haven't, it's the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta deck profile. He can protect a Unison with that 5k, your leader, another battle card, or just give him to himself to be a 30k swing twice. And he's going to be able to come in and leave you at a break even, but the moment he swings, he searches the vanilla from the deck, which is going to still put you at a +1. So the ability to thin your deck out by 1, 2, 3, and then 4 cards just by playing the way you need to play is crazy. That is acceleration. That's why this deck is able to float. You go through a lot of cards, and so you end up seeing your outs and your options a lot more when this deck is firing on all of its cylinders. So these are some of the most important cards to the deck, and we still got a few more, okay? When it comes to battle cards, because you are combo heavy in this deck, you fill up your graveyard quite a few times. So, you know, SS4 Fighting Against Fate isn't something that you can just use once. It can be used for pressure, it can be used for pressure and pressure, it can be used for pressure and kill, it can be used for an attempted kill turn and you fail, you can still combo your way into another one. Either way, this guy is straight pressure, and when you have a setup board, sometimes you're swinging with your leader, you're swinging with your Unison, you're swinging with Divine Presence, Fighting Against Fate. There are times where you might have 2 Divine Presences on board. In that case, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 attacks in one turn. Your opponent has to floodgate you, or they just start bleeding advantage because you're swinging enough times with 25Ks. It's pretty crazy. Next, we have this card. This is like a mini Divine Presence in the sense that you only have to pay 1 to bring it out, but he has the same summoning conditions of 2 combo cards. The important part about him is he's a 20k, so he's easy to pressure leaders. And he's also going to give something -10k. So that's actually really cool because he's going to be able to kill little weenie floodgates, like floodgate bodies. He's going to be able to weaken things. He's good on the offensive step for killing small things. Or, you know, if you're swinging a battle card, you can play him in, put the battle card down by 10k, making it harder to defend, and then he's still a 20k swing afterwards. But the cool note as well is that he's usable on the defensive step too. You can combo a vanilla and, you know, a challenger, getting your draws, however many you have depending on your field setup. But then you can then combo this guy and maybe hit a dual attacker, putting it down to from 20 to 10, or from, you know, 25 to 15, allowing you to better combo out of all of these swings. So he helps soften blows, he helps kill things, he helps pushes on battle cards. He does a lot. And then you're gonna find with this deck, your best plays cost 2. To Unison, you're gonna have to pay 2 energy. To Divine Presence, you're gonna have to pay 2 energy. These by far and away are some of your best plays. Unison in the early game, Divine Presence after that. Because all these things cost 2, and, you know, by extension, we can just even throw in the secret rare. The secret rare being able to be played and then being able to be activated. Because of these things, your best plays cost 2. And so when you awaken, you're on 2 energy. When you awaken, if you're on 2 energy, what are you doing? You're an untap 1, draw 1 leader, so you're opening up 1 energy. So it's important to have 1 energy plays that matter, such as this Gohan if you want to press, such as, you know, floodgate stoppers like Divine Presence, Violent Rays, such as, you know, if you want to open up your opponent's hand before you push, Crown. When you go into turn 3, if you're playing a Divine Presence on curve, then again, you have 1 energy open. So you essentially have the energy to go Goku, but also Floodgate. Goku, or better yet, before Goku, Crown of Retribution if their energy is open. Goku. 1 drop. Goku. So it's very, very important to be able to understand how your energy works. You're red, so you're not the most efficient, okay? It's just how it is. You gotta kind of get over that. But because this deck runs off of 2 energy plays, you have to understand that that 1 energy needs to make the most sense. And also, I guess from the other perspective, you know kind of what they're going to do. Now, it's dangerous once we start getting to 4 energy and beyond, because on 4 energy and beyond, you start being able to play Divine Presence, a 1-drop play, and still have your defensive 1-drop play open. See what I'm saying? On 5 energy, you're able to play 2 offensively devastating plays and still have your defensive play open. And you can kind of see where that snowballs. You're probably getting Divine Presence on turn 3, but you don't want to get double Divine Presence and not be with a Floodgate. That's death. Of course, you have things like Yamcha, Merciless Barrage. Sorry, this is a little messy. Who, you know, puts in work. But it's important to also know how the cards that aren't just part of the normal red package work on this. You know, your opponent plays a card, you let it hang. They play another card and you bang. Yamcha, -15, -15. They swing in on you. You combo with a vanilla on your leader, okay? To draw 1 or draw 2 if you got Gohan on board. Then you play a challenger to get up to 25k. You're already done with the swing. You know, they only swung for 20k. But you can now pay 1 energy, play Gohan, and target one of the guys that you Yamcha'd earlier for a total of -25, which is going to likely kill it. And now you're at a point where, you know, you've gotten rid of one of their swing, you've comboed out of one of their swings, you've eliminated one of their things on board, and you turn the other one into maybe a 5k. So this is actually kind of how this deck works. You have to start kind of spreading out your effects. When it comes to things like, there's a lot of subtle nuances. I know Violent Rays is kind of a product of the format. Like, you can play Violent Rays because there's a lot of 20Ks in the game right now, but you can also play King Vegeta's Imposing Presence if we went more widespread aggro. They both do different things and they both operate on separate decks. I would side one of them, main the other. But this card is also very important. Testing the opposition. I don't think any red deck sits here and goes, I don't like that card because I don't like that card. But testing the opposition is able to bring you from 5 life to 4 life. But the most important thing about testing the opposition is being able to take a life, make a blocker, and if they can't get rid of the blocker before they swing, they have to get into a combo phase. For this deck, you will find that you live and die off of the combo phase. So when your opponent swings out of unison because that's how they rob you of it, and you use testing the op to negate the attack and then put a blocker on, they now have to expend some sort of effect. And this is easier depending on the deck. Like, I mean, a Yamcha, like, you can't use it against King Piccolo. You can't use it against Yamcha. Against red, it's probably the weakest because red has a lot of ways to stop it. They can +1 a Kaba unison. They can be like, you know what, I will kill it with Yamcha and add a 15k swing to the board. That can be worse for your unison. They can hit it with a numerous amount of things. So, but against other decks, this is normally going to open up a combo phase that normally wouldn't have been opened up on. And that can allow you to do plenty of things. Since you didn't use energy to use this card, if you have 2 energy up, you could combo once, combo twice on the blocker, go into Divine Presence, +5 your unison, and then tell them to work on it. There's a lot of different things you open up. And so because of this, I would say that this is one of the most important things, even though it's only at 2, because you don't want to see too many, because you have to be at 5 or less, and you have to take a life, because you're not hard casting this unless you're down bad mate. This is still one of the most important cards to the deck because of what it forces your opponent to get into. While I was discussing how Gohan works, it's also the same exact thing with Piccolo. Yamcha is able to, you know, come in the counter, Gohan is able to minus things, but the Piccolo Unison, you know, has its counter effect, its anti-counter effect, which is going to allow you to do all sorts of things. You know, you could come in with this Gohan and minus 10 something down to 15k, and then, you know, if your opponent does counter any of the point of the turn, you just pop it. You know, make sure you minus 10 something that's maybe tapped so they can't just combo it away knowing that it can be killed with Piccolo. There's a lot of different small interactions you can do that get opened up because of this card and it being essentially a battle trick. There was a game I tested against my friend and roommate Justin where he was going pretty hard, and he did kill me with Cell Zeno because he ripped my Violent Rays, but it was really funny that I was able to combo and hit this and turn his Cell into a base 20k, and that would have happened for the second swing too had I survived it. So there's a lot of cool little interesting combos you can do. These guys interact very, very, very well with dual attackers, so that's a very, very good point to be able to have. In terms of this guy, I can't explain anymore. He's a monster. He can't be removed from your side of the field during your turn, so he gets around the, you know, Bojack Evildoer and Bojack on a Rampage cards because he's just there. He also gets rid of, or gets around Majin Buu Unison. They can't bounce him either, and this allows you to do a couple things. When I face opponents, I will gladly make my only bounceable target for them my Fighting Against Fate, and just let them bounce it back to my deck. Yeah, I got rid of 6 cards in grave, but if I'm being conscious about when I'm using my overrun, I'm not really minusing in graveyard advantage or graveyard count. I'm just putting 6 and then I'm doing that. So that's actually really, really good. They bounce it, I'll draw it at some point, I'm Gohan, and then we'll play it again later. And it's like the threat that never really leaves. However, this guy, being the way he is, the only way you can really get him off your field during your turn is if they give him enough minus counters for him to die. So if I'm swinging, right, he becomes one of the biggest threats in the game to just have a Champa behind, outside of actually having a secret rare. And with this deck, you're able to do a lot. I have another point that I'm going to come back to in a minute. The deck has the normal bits of red extension, that other red decks do because of things like King Piccolo, you know, Fighting Against Fate. There have been some turns where it's been really disgusting. Like, I have been able to literally just awaken, you know, swing with Unison. And actually, I'm gonna right now tell you one of the best kind of things you can do with the deck, because it's like a bread and butter play. Your awakening turn is actually huge, right? So going first, even going second, one of the coolest things you can do is have the 1-drop into the 2-drop Unison. You know, you play the 1-drop, you get your cards. You play the 2-drop on turn 2, right? And at this point, we're just gonna put important cards down, right? We're gonna shuffle the deck, and we're gonna put the life down. So if I went first, there's a long segment on the you know, format placement thing, but we're pretty much here, and the next 2 parts will kind of go swiftly. So if we're here, let's say these are the only cards that we have in the hand. Let's give let's see, we started off on 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We should have 1 more card. We should have 1 card that we drew off of Gohan. Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we played Gohan. So then we drew another card for the turn. Okay, so looking at these cards, okay, easy peasy. Looking at these cards, we definitely charge this one to play Gohan, right? I'm just trying to set up this hand in a realistic way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. So let's just say this: we replayed this, we played Gohan, we got that. Okay, so we're sitting at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 6. We played that. Cool. So then we draw for our second turn. We don't really need more than 1 Test Me Up. I'm gonna just put that down there, because we will need vanillas for later. And let's say we play Piccolo, tapping that, and you know, draw a card. This is where the awakening kind of gets wild, because actually we would have had 8 life, and they would have swung on us probably once. So we have Crown. Depending on the matchup, Crown definitely gets charged, I'm not gonna lie, because if you're not facing blue or yellow, Crown probably doesn't have a lot of time to be played this early. But this is where, you know, you start really stacking crazy effects. It's one of the best plays of the deck. I swing with my Unison for 15. They're probably gonna take it on 1 energy. Swing with my leader on 15 or on 10, and then you have the almighty combo to draw 2. You draw 1 from the leader, 1 from the Gohan. That was supposed to happen, whatever. And then you awaken, taking 2 life. And by the way, that's a swing of 4 cards. You play Challenger, and now since you're on your backside, oh yeah, you're gonna untap and draw. And now since you're on your backside, you're going to be able to draw 1 from Challenger, 1 from your leader. Drawing 1, drawing 2. Now these draws, I did have my deck entirely shuffled together, sorted out, but you can see this is the hand I started with before I awakened. That was a net gain of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards. That's a full price awakening in this deck. It's the accordion hand. You actually end up blowing out your hand into a much thicker size, and then it becomes funny after that because the hand will only grow from there. Okay, and this can get way more explosive. You can have a Gohan, and you could tap to play the Gohan -10 something and have another swing. You could have your King Piccolo and go in off of that. You can have a Kaba and tap and go in off of that, putting you down to 5k and turning on your super combos on aggressiveness. There are turns that I've been able to have on turn 2 a field that does look like this, like that looks like this, plus a King Piccolo, plus a Kaba, and that already was 1, 2. I mean, you can actually spread out the damage if you want. Like if you want a really aggressive hand, you don't have to combo on the Gohan because he's gonna be 15 regardless. You can swing for, you could chill here and swing for 15, and then swing here, going for your normal this, and then 1 more card to make him at 19k. Swing with your leader now that you're awakening Jazz for 15k. You know, play the Kaba, go in. Like you have options, and if you do it this way and they're at full health, that's 1 damage, 2 damage, 3 damage. Hopefully taking them down to 3 life. Bringing this down, hopefully taking them down to 1 life if you want to put some combo power behind it now that you're at 4 life. So there's a lot of aggressiveness that can happen with this deck. It's actually really fun. So that is pretty much a lot of the format placement, I suppose. You're able to push a lot with this deck, and you have a card that's particularly good against blue in Divine Presence. So I feel like that was a lot about that. The last thing I would talk about when it comes to the format placement and sort of just how to kind of to this deck, Gohan's Spirit Boost on the back says that when you combo, once per turn, when you combo with a vanilla, you can Spirit Boost and give that vanilla plus 6k battle power, or combo power. That comes into play a lot because that changes the math. If you're swinging with a 1-drop that normally wouldn't be able to press your opponent, such as Crown or Gohan, comboing with a skill list will turn them into 15ks, and then you're not normally just going to hit them with a skill list. You're drawing 2 off the Gohan. You might as well go in with a Challenger to open up your arrival plays. You're also, that's going to put him at 20k for a Spirit Boost and the cards you're going to combo regardless, turning a not very good swinger into a very good swinger. You can do that with your Crowns too, so they're not just useless when you're done. They can either be comboed for your arrival, or they can be comboed on with the Spirit Boost to make valid swings. It's actually just really strong. I like that a lot. It like really changes the game, but it also changes your shotgun math too, sometimes your defensive shotgun math as well. So I guess we are going to move on to the mulligans. Yeah. So with your mulligans, I'm not gonna lie, this deck draws enough to where your hands will fix themselves as long as you see the right setups. There are only 3 cards that I auto keep in hand. Actually, sorry, almost 3 cards. The cards that get auto kept: Gohan, your super combos, and a 2-drop Unison. If you draw the secret rare, you keep the secret rare. These are the only cards that matter. Like, just to explain this to you, let me just take these, right? And I will shuffle a little bit. It almost doesn't matter what the other cards are in your hand. If you open up these 2 cards, you are going to have a good time. Literally, that's just kind of how it is, or you're at least going to be in the game. So let's just say I'm going first, right? Because we'll go first, we'll go second. If I'm going first, 1, 2, 3, cool, 4. Awesome. Going first right here. Make your life. First turn. Gohan's important, but if I'm going first, I feel like it's going to stay on the board long enough for me to find another one. So I play Gohan. We're looking for Challenger. And if not Challenger, we'll take Divine Presence. So we'll take Divine Presence, and we'll end. Your opponent will generally have to swing on you for whatever reason, granting you one more card. That card is another Piccolo. Great. Extra energy. Your next turn, you draw. Violent Raise. Cool. I will play this guy, and like I said, this is the combo again. We'll play Piccolo. We'll activate Piccolo's effect to draw. We will, if I'm going first, I don't mind Awakening because I want to see as many options as possible to make sure that my second turn or my third turn is as oppressive as possible. If I was untapped too, I probably would care a little bit more, but it really depends on the matchup. Against blue matchups, you're not dying on their turn 2. So I'm going to swing with my leader for 15k. We're gonna swing with my Unison, and then we'll swing with my leader. Upon leader swing, since we don't want to expose the Gohan, we'll do that, drawing into Fighting Against Fate and Broly, Crown of Retribution. We are going to Awaken, taking these, getting another Broly, getting another Crown, and then we are going to play no Challenger this time, actually. We'll just actually hold on to it. It's actually not terribly bad, like, we'll chill. And we are fine with that one. Was a little weird because we didn't see a Challenger. I got a lot of doubles and triples. I didn't pile shuffle, but it is what it is. But you can see, like, you draw a lot of cards. I'm gonna shuffle one more time and try to show you guys like a second turn. I know, like I said, you're gonna be in a good place regardless, but literally this is what happens when you sort your deck out and then they're all clumped up. So keeping these 2 cards in hand still and going into turn 2, right? Like I said, you still want to keep super combos. You still want to keep the Kai. If you open up these 2 and you also see a vanilla, I would keep the vanilla because he's crucial to going on your Awakening turn. But 1 Challenger, 2 Unison, 3. Okay. So 3 is that, and then you have this. Okay, so I have a lot of Unisons in hand. That's a little unfortunate, but going second will be kind of a doozy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So going second, we're going to draw a card. That's Kaba. That's going to be a little fun later. We're going to charge and do this, and we're going to try to get a vanilla. Now, because of the nature of my hand, I won't swing and drop the vanilla. See, we weren't able to get the vanilla, but we'll keep that. We will take the Gohan, and we will pass that. We don't kind of want to know that, you know, don't want your opponent trying to play around Kaioken. So we definitely wouldn't take him off of the top 5 unless we were going to use him like that turn. We're going to do that. Your opponent gets a chance to swing at you, which is going to grant you, okay, the Kaioken. Next turn, I'm going to draw. Perfect, the vanilla. So now we're actually really, really set up. We're going to charge the Piccolo, tap, go into this Piccolo. We are going to draw from Piccolo. And this is really depends. Depending on the deck and how aggressive you want to be, if they're tapped out, what we're going to see, you could end up swinging with the Gohan. We have another one in hand, so we're not really afraid of doing that, especially since they're already just a 10k. So you can easily swing with this being a 10k and go into the vanilla, drawing 1, which is a challenger, drawing 2, which is a Yamcha. Then we're going to awaken, taking 2 life, a Piccolo and a Divine Presence, drawing 1, untapping 1, and playing challenger, making this a 14k, draw 1, draw 2, that's cool. After hitting that, we're able to swing for 15, swing for 15, and if all 3 damage goes through and you feel comfortable doing this, you can tap this, go into the Kaba, swing with the Kaba, taking that, and then just trying to pressure them. They're at 10k right now. You can go into this and drop a card that you don't need. You have Yamcha in hand, so super combo. Okay, so that's pretty tight right there. You hit them for 25k. See if they're gonna combo out of it, tapped out on that part, if that's what's going on. They're at 3 life at this point, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 cards in hand. Your opponent wants to be funny. You can always hit them with, you know, your Yamcha. You don't need Kaba at this point, so if they try to get rid of Kaba, go for it. If they try to get rid of Gohan, because of the cards you have in hand, you can kind of decide whether or not you want to try to defend that or not. If they leader swing on them, you know, again, use your discretion. But I think it's smart to get rid of the Gohan because you don't want him doing much. But they already know you have another Gohan in hand too, because I searched it. So that one's gonna kind of be where you have to figure out what they're trying to do. I think they might try to get rid of the Gohan more though. Drawing into this, I think at this point, you have enough cards in hand. Again, don't want to charge him. We can go for just because we want to keep up the gates, the floodgates, we can actually charge one of these. Now, at this point, you're at a point where you're going to be able to start swinging for things. You know, you can swing for your 15. Piccolo, sorry, should have used +1 to get another Piccolo. That's not cool. Swing with Piccolo. You've got a lot of things you can do here. You can super combo if you want to. You can throw another. It really depends on what game state you're in. Like, depending on the deck, if they don't have enough defense on this turn 3, you could actually go for a kill this turn. And I sincerely mean that. Like, if you felt like you can go for the kill, you could just use this. I'm taking the vanilla regardless. And then you could literally try to burst out. Like, somebody can die on this turn if they're caught lacking. In a blue format, if they're at 3 life, then you have to worry about Hatch, and they're probably not going to die. They're just going to burn a lot of cards if you went first and they're on 2. But if this is the case, I mean, you get your swings in, you get your swings in. You don't want to go for game because of Galactic Buster and being at 2 energy. You don't want to go for game with anything that can get bursted. So, I mean, you do your damage, you do what you need to, but at some point, one of these swings, you're going to be drawing 2, drawing another one, and then playing your Divine Presence. And the best part about this deck after that is that your combo power is hilarious. Like, you will swing with him, he will go up to 30k, and you will be able to search a vanilla. You can play the vanilla, and after playing the vanilla, well, after getting the vanilla to hit that swing, you're going to be able to do silly stuff like add a vanilla, spirit boost, so he's at 30k now, go to a challenger, draw. He's now at 30. He was at 41k with that vanilla and the spirit boost, so he's at 46k. You already know you're trying to go for game, and he can't be removed from the field, so this is where you start going in here. Draw 1, draw 2. That looks like to be the end of my draws. Unfortunately, I don't think I have another super combo. But even with that, you know, you're already at 51, so 61, 71, 81, 91, yeah, 91 if you really want to go into 96. So 96 on 3 energy after you've done a significant amount of damage, and he's still going to be able to go into a second swing if they were at 1 life. Not to mention that while I did get cut short on that draw, I still had super combos in the deck. I still have one super combo in the deck, and as well as I could have drawn into Fighting Against Fate, I could have also drawn into King Piccolo. There are multiple extenders there. So I know that was a very long how to mulligan, but yeah, the perfect hand for this deck is kind of scary because you don't have room to really charge anything. If I could pull out the absolute perfect hand, like I would just would love to see it. It would look something like the perfect hand. To be honest, it's these 4 cards. And as long as you have stuff to charge after that, it's fine. In fact, if I'm going second, the perfect hand has 2 vanillas in it. So I can play this guy, search top 5, swing, draw 2, next turn, play Piccolo, awaken at full price, and then go off. So that's what the perfect hand looks like to me. Those 4. 100%. So I guess next we will move on to what not to do. So on what not to do, there's a couple of things to kind of go into. The first what not to do involves the best card of your deck. Do not play this card without understanding your matchup. In blue, they will not be able to bounce this guy until they can use a Evil Doer, but that can happen as early as turn 2, so you need to look at their energy. If they are leaving open energy on turn 2, it is probably best that you hit them with a crown if you have it to see what's going on. Because once you lose your Gohan, unless you have another one in hand, you are going to lose effectively half of your card filter per turn. That's not the way. If you're facing green, Shocking Death Ball can ruin your life. You need to watch out for their sparking count. Green has to play on curve a lot, so you have to watch out for their sparking count. But against green, green has a lot of ample destruction. So against green, you need to realize that you need to play this on turns where you know you're going to be able to swing and get his value, because he's likely not going to be there by the time your turn comes back around. Then you also need to worry about black, lots of removal. Red, lots of removal. Yellow is a little savage because yellow will tap this guy, but then they will swing on it. So you will at least get its value on your turn when you swing, and then on their turn when they swing at it. But blue is the safest matchup to play this, followed by yellow. It's just that yellow won't leave it on the field for long, but red, black, and green just expect this guy to leave the field almost as soon as he comes in. So you got to be very sparing about how you use them. The second has to do with your normals. Because of the longevity of this one drop, you don't want to wait to get your pluses on your opponent's turn. They could swing at you and you could be like, oh, I don't need the combo here. But honestly, you should just throw the freaking vanilla the first swing they do if Gohan's still on the field, because that's still going to be a +1. You're going to see 2 new cards and you're going to go +1, because they could swing on you. You'd be like, okay, I'm done. And they could be like, okay, combo shenanigans, remove it. Combo, now that I'm done with that, tap, tap, remove it. Like, they could do anything with that. And you're going to feel really stupid for missing your opportunity to go +1. So if they swing and Gohan's still on the board, throw that vanilla out of your hand, get that +1. It's just kind of how it is. I mean, you can go +1 on your turn as well when you go, into things. But like I said, depending on the matchup, this guy may not be around. But I run 7, you may run 6, you may run 8, but you should be able to draw on 2 vanillas to use them as gas later on. The second not is be careful also about your timing for using your vanillas and your challengers, because they go as a pair. You don't use your vanillas, or you use your vanillas too much and you'll be drawing challengers with no vanillas to combo with. And that sucks. I run 7 vanillas and 6 challengers, and I think those ratios are fine, but you don't want to just blow all these and use these to the point where if your hand is set up enough, you might even combo defensively with a Unison or with a Vanilla, and then go, you know what, I'll just put this Challenger in there, because it's better that that Challenger is a draw one than it is just a, like, it can always be cycled with your leader, but you just want to dig deeper in your deck sometimes. The other what not to do, it's not like this deck is amazing defensively, and most of your defense comes from your combo power. So unless you are packing things like Testing the Opposition or Yamcha's Merciless Barrage against certain decks, you want to be careful about when you play your Unison. If I'm Awakening and I know the deck is likely to go off sideways, I'll leave that one energy up for my Violent Raise. But otherwise, if you open up Test Me Opposition, generally you're going to be good on turn 2. Negate an attack, make a blocker. They can't kill all 3 markers off your Unison through that as well. Yamcha is also good, but only if your opponent's deck is battle card heavy. If your opponent is Red Vegeta and they've Awakened, they can just clap up your Unison with a Leader Swing and a Double Strike Kaba Swing, and that's the end. So you want to make sure your Unison is good, because if you're holding your Unison or your Awakening and they kill your Unison, you look like a dummy, you wasted 2 energy and you're still not Awakened. So you need to kind of be very, very much so on your game when you Awaken. That's the hardest part about this deck, when to Awaken and when not to Awaken. Because a late Awakening could mean a further offensive push, but a late Awakening, because you weren't trying to Awaken that late, can mean you just missing that 5k on your leader. However, it is also even more nuanced than that, because your leader does the same thing on the front and the back pretty much, minus the Spirit Boost. So there's not really reason to Awaken them unless you are planning to tear somebody up. You should never really Awaken defensively in this with this leader. You're either trying to tear somebody up with that extra hand advantage, or you are trying to tear somebody up with the untapped one. So yeah, that is my take on the Gohan deck. That's kind of what I've learned playing it. If you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I'll get to them as soon as possible, and I hope you guys have a great time. If you like the deck, if you like the content, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I will be back to give you more Dragon Ball Super content. Thanks.